Welcome in to Talk the Line on the Thursday, getting you guys ready for the divisional round starting on Saturday. I'm Sara Perlman here with Geoff Schwartz, former NFL lineman, and of course Jason McIntyre, Fox Sports gambling analyst. And guys, I gotta ask, do you have winners for me today before we get into anything else?
Yes, we will win today. We have to make up for our confidence picks from last weekend. I feel like I was mostly on the right track. I feel really good this week about 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah, it was like a good weekend, but it was not great because Sara was the only one who nailed the Browns' victory. And she was sending like all these abrasive texts bragging, and she was not. She should have. I would have, Sara. That was a great call, by the way. I think you were the only human being in America on the Browns. Well done.
I saved all my bragging for today's show, so both of you, you're welcome. You get to listen to it for the next half hour. All right, let's take a look at the board as we're getting ready for the games coming up this weekend. Amazing slate. We have Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Of course, New Orleans favored by 3. Baltimore and the Bills. Bills at home laying 2.5. The Rams and Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 6. We'll see how that line moves throughout the rest of the week. And then Cleveland and Kansas City. The Chiefs laying 10 double digits. As you can see, 1 double-digit favorite, no home dogs. All the home teams are favored. All right, let's get into it, you guys. The first game we got to talk about here is going to be Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, and the New Orleans Saints. 2 older quarterbacks facing each other for the 3rd time this season. Like I said, you have New Orleans laying 3. The total ticked up. It's now 52.5. J-Mac, I'm going to start with you here. Do you have any plays or a lean on this game?
I do. I like how you phrased that, 2 older quarterbacks. These are fossils, Sara.
I'm just trying to be nice, okay?
Yeah, we're starting out very nice on Thursday. By Sunday, we're just angry and ranting.
100%.
So I'll start here. I like the Saints. I believe this number started in some places at 5. A lot of Tampa money came in, and it's down to 3. And it's been hanging out there most of the week. I just wonder what exactly people are seeing this week. Now, we've talked all year about don't bet what you saw last, right? And what did everybody see last? Tom Brady looked good in prime time, but did not cover. Had 500 yards of offense against a good Washington defense. And everybody watched the Saints kind of putter around and, play with their food and not put away Chicago in an impressive manner. And my belief here is the Saints are the side. I'm not going to trot out trends about playing a team for a 3rd time. I'm going to focus on these 2 things. Number 1, the worst coach left in the playoffs is Bruce Arians. I think we could argue that. We could spend some time on it. I don't believe he's been in a situation where he has elevated the cast around him. And I think that's a big advantage for Sean Payton. And my other note, I don't know how good Tampa is, guys. I looked this up. This is crazy. They've beaten 1 team this year that finished above 500. That was in the middle of October when they dispatched Green Bay at home. Since then, they've played teams over 500. They lost to the Rams. Beginning to end, the Rams owned them. They lost to the Chiefs. Beginning to end, Chiefs own them. I don't think this is that good of a Tampa team, and I think the Saints are the side here.
So I lean Saints here as well, but I really like the under if I'm looking for a play in this game. It's gone from 49 up to 52.5 here. And we have 2 really good defenses, right? We know the Saints are harassing, right? They have harassed Tom Brady in the 2 meetings so far this year. Even though the Bucs offense is much different now, right? Tom Brady is over 300 yards a game passing over his last 5. There's a reason why the Saints defense has harassed Tampa early in the season. They rushed the passer very well. They relentlessly rushed the passer. And Marshawn Lattimore, I should say, owns Mike Evans. And all the times they've met since 2017, he's only allowed 9 receptions total to Mike Evans in all their matchups. On the flip side, Tampa Bay's defense is really good against the run. They're number 1 in the NFL defending the run between the tackles, only allowing 2.9 yards a rush. What do the Saints like to do? Run between the tackles with Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. Levante David, top 5 in the NFL, covering running backs out of the backfield. This feels very much like an under game to me. Last comment here. Jason, you mentioned you didn't mention it, but you went by it. The stat about teams playing a 3rd time and how if you've won the first 2, you win the 3rd 60% of the time, right? The reason for that is because typically if you win the first 2 games, you're just a better football team. So this is why the Saints, to me, I lean Saints here, but love the under.
Yeah, the Saints have won 5 straight games against the Bucs. The only reason I'm having a tough time is because the 3rd time, I feel like anyone could figure each other out. You've seen each other so much. But to go along with both of you, I lean the New Orleans Saints. You look at what they did to Tom Brady. Their defense picked apart Tom Brady in their last outing. He had 3 interceptions without a touchdown in their second meeting of the season, which brings me to our first prop of the game. We have Tom Brady And his total for touchdown passes for this prop is set at 1.5. The over juiced -161. The under getting some plus money. Geoff, what do you like here?
There's a lot of money on the over delay, right? Like you gotta lay, it's like $16 to win 10. I don't feel a good play here. I do think Tom Brady can have more success. We've seen they do a lot more play action pass lately, using motion more. The offense is playing a lot better, but I think the matchup against the Saints, though, does really worry me. I believe that what we've seen from out of the Saints, that the first two games will carry over into game 3. If Tampa does not have the right guard either, Kappa, in this game, we saw when he went out, Washington's pass rush picked up against Tom Brady. If he cannot play this week, watch for there to be an advantage for the Saints inside as well. So I would just stay away from this, Jason. I don't feel great about Tom Brady in this game. He's done well the last 5 weeks, but this is a much better defense he's played than any of those weeks.
Yeah, I thought you might lean under, given you think, that it's going to be low scoring. Yeah. I think you made a great point about the guard, Alex Kappa. I read fractured ankle, and he's out. Now, they don't know who his backup's going to be. Last week, they used a tackle. There's another backup guard who's played like 35 snaps this year. I would be careful looking at the under here. We're talking about a New Orleans defense, top 10 in the league, and they get pressure up the middle. You said last week, Daron Payne and the Washington Football Club, they sacked him twice up the middle, one coming from the outside. David Onyemata, the guy to watch, Saints defensive line, top 7 defensive tackle according to Pro Football Focus. And without a guard there, I do believe Saints defense could pressure Brady. I would lean to the under, but again, 1.5, that's real low.
Yeah, I personally do not have a feel on this prop, but the next one I do. If you guys know me, and you two do by now, I love player props. I love player prop parlays. I'm all over everything about this. Alvin Kamara to score 2 or more touchdowns, plus 225. I will start by saying he had 1 touchdown in the first game in the season opener, but none in the second. What do you guys think about this, J-Mac?
Kamara looked okay against the Bears last week coming off the COVID. I think I read 21 rushes for 56 yards in 2 meetings against Tampa. Geoff already outlined how the linebackers cover well. You know what, Sarah? I'll defer to you here, the prop queen. If you're taking it, I'll back you on that, but not convincingly so.
Geoff?
So the thing about the Saints offense, it's why, in my opinion, it's tough to take a lot of the Saints props, is we've seen the playoffs now, for whatever reason, they have decreased in their production offensively. The last 4 playoff games they've been in, they scored between 20 and 23 points. They're just not the same offense in the postseason. Is it because Drew Brees is not as effective later in the season? Definitely possible. He doesn't throw the ball deep at all anymore. So when you play a better defense in the playoffs, defense can kind of scheme that up, right? Okay, he's not going to throw deep. We'll sit in coverage. We'll play the run. And then, of course, Sean Payne just randomly throws Taysom Hill in the game to commit a turnover every week. So I just think it's very tough to take any Saints offensive props over, because we have not seen the production carry over from the regular season into the postseason the last 3 seasons.
The only reason I will take a flyer on this prop is because Kamara's numbers are a little bit skewed. When Taysom Hill did play quarterback filling in for Drew Brees, Kamara's value went extremely down. They did not feed him the ball. Here, I'll take the plus 225 on 2 touchdowns. If they're in the red zone, they're feeding Kamara. It feels like 80% of the time. So I'll take the plus money and go for 2 touchdowns from Alvin Kamara. All right, the next game on the slate, we have the Browns playing Kansas City. Kansas City favored by 10. This total, it might get up to 65 by kickoff. I swear. It's at 57 right now. Geoff, I'll start with you. Do you like a side or the total in this matchup?
I like 2 things. We're going to get to the first one now, get to the next one later. Kansas City's team total is 33, 34, somewhere around there. I'll take the over team total in this game. Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes have been together for 6 games after a bye. They've scored 40, 40, 51, 35, 31, and 31, right? They score a ton of points after a bye. And those 31-point games were against good defenses. Niners in Super Bowl, Colts in 2018. Now they get a Browns defense, guys, 25th in efficiency, 29th on deep passes, 29th on third down, and 28th against passes to the tight end. And that's buoyed a little bit by playing some weather games in the middle of the season where they did not allow a lot of points. So now you get a Chiefs team hungry and healthy. And here's one thing else. I saw this week. Pat Mahomes said that him and Travis Kelce spent last week going over the 3 possible defenses they might face this week. I think it's actually 4 possible defenses. And they came into this week to game plan with a notebook already of notes about how to attack the Browns defense. I think they have a lot to prove this weekend. We know they haven't covered in quite a while. We know offensively against the Falcons almost a month ago now did not look very good. I think they score a ton of points in this game. I'll go with the Chiefs here over their team total.
I was going to make a case for the Browns getting 10, and then you say it out loud like, oh yeah, I'm going to go against Andy Reid off a bye. I think I saw the number. He's like 25-5. And I'm going against Pat Mahomes on the road with a Browns team that just won the Super Bowl against the Steelers last week. But I still can't get there's just something that is gravitational pull. Maybe I've been watching too much Mandalorian. Something about this Browns offense. I do believe they're going to be able to hang in this game. Consider this. In the last 6 weeks, they've faced playoff teams Tennessee, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, and they've topped 40 points each time. Now, last week, they got, 4 turnovers from Big Ben. They got the snap at the beginning of the game. They basically got spotted a touchdown. Mahomes is not going to do that. However, we have seen this Kansas City defense struggle against a run. A lot of Nick Chubb, a lot of Kareem Hunt. The Browns get their coach back. And this number, again, we talk about trends, right? And I know Geoff and Sara are with me. Like, trends are not predictive. They don't tell you what's going to happen. But just consider this. In the last decade, 6 teams have rested their stars in week 17 and then had a bye. Okay. 4 of those 6 have lost outright, and they're 1-5 against the spread. So it's not just that the Chiefs come out rested, right? They have been sitting back at home or on the sideline, not playing football for 2 weeks, the stars, Mahomes and company. And you just wonder, is there going to be some rust? I would look at the first quarter spread. Browns get the football, chew up some clock, move the ball down the field. Maybe Stefanski has a great scripted plan. Browns first quarter could have some value. And I think coming in the back door, 10 is a lot. We know the Chiefs are going to score. Geoff outlined it. Team total 33. They're going to blow through that. But the Browns will too. So I do believe there is a little bit of value on 10. And I do think if you like it, get it now, because this will head down this weekend as, the recreational bettors come in and are like, oh, let me take a flyer. Let me get a lotto ticket. Mega Millions me on the Browns,
J-Mac, to back your point, when you look at Football Outsiders and how they rank the Kansas City run defense with the adjusted strength of schedule, they're second worst in the NFL. So they'll be able to run the ball. The Browns will be able to run the ball with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I backed the Browns last week. That's my claim to fame for the rest of my life. I'm not backing them this weekend. I'm not touching a double-digit spread, in the playoffs now. But I will say, going back to Kansas City, they're 1-7 ATS in their last 8 games. So that's a huge number to lay. It's a stay away for me. I'm excited to watch it. Probably have a teaser later in the week, but nothing straight up right now. The first prop we have on this game, Baker Mayfield. And Geoff, I have to go to you first because last week you had the under. I don't know what you're going to do this week. His total set for 251.5 passing yards, -110.
This is going to bother me the rest of the playoffs. Baker Mayfield last weekend, his air yards per attempt was like 3.5. And I somehow managed to go over the prop I took last week. Here's why I think there actually is value in the over. So we talk about the running game a lot of how to beat the Chiefs, right? Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. But you have to score 7 when you run the football, right? You cannot finish drives against Kansas City with 3, and they can come out and score in 2 minutes and negates that 7-minute drive you just had. But the reason why I like him to throw for a lot of yards this weekend is when you get behind 14 points in the third quarter in Arrowhead, guess what you're doing? You're passing the ball to get back in the game. You can no longer run the ball. So running the ball to win works great if everything else works great for you too. If you force Pat Mahomes 3 and out, if the Chiefs don't score, if you end in 7, if you don't turn the ball over, like all these things have to work for the running the football to really matter in the end. So I think there is some value here in the over just because I think they'll be down and have to throw the football.
Interesting. Geoff, I'm with you on a lot of that. I can't get over this stat. So last week, Baker Mayfield was not pressured once by the Steelers. Yeah. We know they're number 1 in pressure rate. Okay. They didn't sack him once. And this is crazy. 3 times against the blitz, Baker Mayfield was lights out. 3 of his touchdown passes came against the blitz. Yeah. So it's like, this is a guy who didn't complete a pass that went longer than 15 yards. He had some dink and dunks that went far, but nothing deep downfield, short, quick passes. Like, it was a great game plan from Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt filling in. Mm-hmm. I know you've been the Baker Mayfield under guy all year. You're right. I can't do anything with this one. Like, I don't know what the Baker game plan is going to be. This is a fantastic number hung by the book here.
Well, let's take a look at Go ahead, Geoff.
I just want to say something real quick. I know there's a lot of talk about what Jason said about them not allowing pressure last weekend. And I do wonder if that's a function of the Steelers' defensive line coming out flat. They heard that Stefanski wasn't going to be there. The Browns are missing both their offensive line coaches, two of them. They're missing their left guard as well. Like, I think Pittsburgh just looked uninspired rushing the passer. And then when you're down 28-0 and the Browns are running the football, you're not going to get pressure on the quarterback. So I think that number is a little bit skewed just because they were up the entire game, didn't have to worry about pass rushing.
Let's take another, let's look at another prop right now, you guys. That might have a stronger feel. Of course, odds with Fox Bet. I love this prop. I'll just say Travis Kelce is total 81.5 receiving yards. I talked about, and I'll continue to talk about how bad the Browns secondary is. They've allowed 337 passing yards per game over their last three. Travis Kelce's too good. Give me the over. He's averaging 95 receiving yards per game. I love this. I will be playing this prop. J-Mac, do you like this?
Listen, you know the Browns better than I do at this point, Sarah. I'll just concede. If you're playing it, I'm going to back you here. I don't know how – it's tough to judge the Browns secondary off that Steelers game because, down 28-0 in a quarter, they're just chucking and ducking the rest of the game. But they didn't really use the tight end, not that much. I mean, listen, Kelce's elite. He should be able to get open. I think what's interesting is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And, Geoff, I don't know if you've seen this. He finally came back to practice this week. He's been out since week 15. If they don't have him, they are going to be throwing more. So I would back you in the Kelce situation. But if he's back, we know Andy Reid has leaned on the rookie heavily. Le'Veon Bell is not a between the tackles guy. Sorry. No. Edwards-Helaire comes. I do think that eats into some possible Travis Kelce numbers.
So I'm with Sarah here. I love Travis Kelce over in this game. Like, it is one of my favorite plays of the weekend. 5 to 6 games after bye, he's had over 90 yards, the one being the Niners game. Again, when Niners had the best defense in the NFL last season, the Browns are not that. But here's some more numbers for you. The Browns defense this year has allowed the 5th most targets to tight ends, the 4th most catches, and the 8th most receiving yards. So again, I have a highly motivated Chiefs offense that wants to put up a lot of points. Their best player in offense. I know everyone loves Tyreek Hill and loves Watkins and Clyde Edwards. Travis Kelce is the engine that makes this offense go. I think they get him going early in this game, and I love the over.
Yes, Geoff. I love that. I'll text you during the game when that cash is, at least I'm hoping so. Okay. Game number 3 on the slate. We have Green Bay favored by 6 playing the Los Angeles Rams, and John Wolford ruled out. Jared Goff will be the starting quarterback. Let's see what happens to this line. I have a feeling Green Bay will actually become even more favored in this one. Total set at 45.5. Geoff, I'll start with you here. Do you like a side or the total in Green Bay? 27 degrees, 20% chance of snow there.
I'd grab Green Bay right now, guys, if I could at -6. Like, I think Sarah's right. The number will go back up as this game gets closer to kickoff. Jared Goff, guys, is woeful when it's cold. And I know that it's a 2-game sample size under 35 degrees, but even if you go a little bit warmer, he completes like 55% of his passes, has a terrible passer rating anytime under 50 degrees. He's not a cold weather quarterback. And it does matter in a game like this. Also, too, guys, remember, he was benched last weekend. He was also hurt, but he was benched. He could have played. We saw he played in that game. He started in that game. So I really worry about the offense and how functional it'll be if Jared Goff, A, gets behind in the game and Green Bay knows they have to stop the run. They can leave Jair Alexander on an island and let him do his thing at corner and focus all your energy on stopping the run. On the flip side, I understand the Rams defense is fabulous, right? Their pass defense is great. They're number 1 in the NFL deep passing. Jalen Ramsey, Devontae Adams. But guys, the Packers offense is designed for success. They have shown all season long they can score points. I'm going to save you one stat for the Devontae Adams prop later, but I really like Green Bay in the situation more because the Rams are not going to score a lot of points. I think Green Bay will do enough to get in the high 20s and cover this game.
Oh boy. I think we have our first divide. Sarah, you'll have to split the tie here. This opened up Sunday night at 7.5 and it came down to 7. And we got the Aaron Donald stuff floating out there, the Cooper Kupp, and now you said Wolford's out. And it's down to 6. And the market is telling you that there's something up with the Packers. Now, this will be their second game without Bakhtiari. And the Rams' strength is that defensive line with Brockers, Aaron Donald, and Leonard Floyd. Floyd was an animal last weekend against Seattle, just overwhelmed Russell Wilson. That could be a factor. But, Geoff, what I keep looking at here is I'm going down that Packers schedule, and then you look at the strength of schedule, 31st in the NFL. They played a really weak schedule. The division was a joke this year. The Vikings were terrible. And I looked at the losses they had. Okay, well, if you want to toss out the Tampa one, fine. Let's discard that. But look at that Minnesota game. Dalvin Cook essentially ran the ball down their throats. They could not stop the run. They've had issues with the run all year. And then I remembered that San Francisco NFC title game last year. Jimmy Garoppolo attempted 8 passes in the game. Yeah. They just said, we're not going to throw the football. We're not. We see a big advantage with the run. Now, what else is interesting about that is that McVay and LaFleur are good buddies. They were on a coaching staff together in Washington. And then LaFleur was the OC with the Rams in Goff's in the year they went to the playoffs, not the Super Bowl year, the year before that. And last year, Kyle Shanahan beat his guy LaFleur twice. And I wonder if there is some kind of big brother, little brother, even though McVay's younger, thing going on here with the Rams and the Packers and familiarity. I wish I had taken 7. I wish I had taken 6.5. I might take some 6. We haven't mentioned the word teaser. Geoff, what are we, 25 minutes into this show? And we haven't said a teaser? This is not a teaser weekend for me. I might actually take the Rams on the money line here, folks. Sunday, we'll see what's going on. But just follow the market here. This line is moving very strangely.
The teaser talk is coming. I'm so happy you brought that up, J-Mac, because tease this game. I don't know what you're talking about, J-Mac. The Rams offense cannot move the ball. And I actually like Walford better than Goff starting at quarterback. I think 6 and 7 is still a large number. I'd probably grab it with the Rams. You'll hear later, but I love teasing Green Bay down to win this game. Aaron Rodgers in cold weather at Lambeau, unfair advantage. Also, outside, this is what I'll say about the total. All 7 outdoor playoff games in weather below 32 degrees since 2017, over the total. All 4 outdoor games below 32 degrees this season, over the total. I'll take the over 45.5. I think defenses obviously play a big role. I still think there's a lot of points scored, which leads me to the first prop of this game. J-Mac, I'll start with you. Devontae Adams, probably matched up with Jalen Ramsey. His total for receiving yards, 80.5. What do you got?
Interesting matchup, right? It should be Ramsey. I crunched the numbers for a FoxSports.com article this week. And, Jalen Ramsey's been phenomenal. Like, he's just allowing nothing. But on the opposite side, Jair Alexander, we'll get to him. He's been excellent as well. But the Rams have 2 choices. They can lock up Ramsey and follow around Devontae Adams, or they could double and bracket in Adams and try to contain him and let Ramsey own Valdez-Scantling or whoever. Mm-hmm. Either way, I do believe Adams under is the play here. We all know Adams is one of the best route runners in the league, and he put up monster numbers this year. He's just destroying people off the line. I read an article. Listen, the Packers have 8 touchdown passes from the 1-yard line. That's the most in I think 47 years in the NFL, something obscene like that. And Aaron Rodgers loves Adams. I just think this is going to be a very tall order. Geoff, you're the one who got me on this Rams secondary about how they do not allow the big explosive play. They're good deep. They're good short. I think their defensive line can get pressure. I'm on the under on Devontae Adams.
So here's one thing to consider for this prop. I'm kind of going to stay off of it, but I actually do lean over for one specific reason. That's play action pass, right? We saw Aaron Rodgers before the season talk about how they need to incorporate more play action pass. They did not do it a lot last year, and they definitely did not do it with Mike McCarthy. His play action pass usage is up about 10% this year. We know play action pass generates big plays. As good as a Rams pass defense is, they allow the most separation in the NFL on play action pass attempts. So I think we have a very specific situation here where Rodgers can take shots with Devontae Adams. And you mentioned, Jason, it's the Patriots way, right? You take number 1 corner, put him on number 2, and double number 1. But even if you do that, play action pass kind of negates a little bit of a bracket on Adams, especially if he's in the slot. So I'm curious to see how the Packers move him around. I want to give you one random prop for the Packers before we get to the Rams prop here. Robert Tonyan, the tight end, has 11 touchdowns this year on 59 targets, all right? The Rams have allowed only 7 touchdown passes this season to wide receivers. They've allowed 7 to tight ends. I think it's a good place to maybe sprinkle a little bit of money on Tonyan to score a touchdown at some point in this game.
I love anytime touchdowns. So absolutely, Geoff, taking your advice on that. A prop that I personally like, I'm off with the Devontae Adams. I don't want to bet against him. I love watching him. I want him to have an epic game, so I can't bet for on his under, which is something is probably the smarter play. But the prop on the Rams side that I do like, and it's certainly come down a bunch, is Cam Akers. His rushing yards total is set for 70.5. And I think the only way the Rams stay in this game is if they use the clock and run the football. You do not want to keep putting Aaron Rodgers on the field So I like the over here, you guys, since Cam Akers really became their lead running back since week 13. He's averaging 85 rushing yards a game. Geoff, I'll start with you. Do you like the over or under for Cam Akers?
I like the over here because even if the Rams are behind, they've shown this year they do not deviate from their game plan. Remember the Buffalo game? They're down 28-3. Guess what they did? Run the football, run the football, run the football. Second half of that game, they had 14 rushes and 14 pass attempts. So even if they're behind this game, Sean McVay sticks to his guns and they rush the football. And obviously, if you're behind, the defense is not geared towards stopping the run as much. I think there's a lot of garbage yards in the rushing game that he will get. I'll go over here.
Yeah, I think that's a great read. The only issue I have is this is a kind of a three-headed backfield. Darrell Henderson, kid from Memphis, is a burner. Malcolm Brown gets a lot of the goal line carries. And I'm curious how the Rams will handle it if Green Bay says, you know what, we're going to stack the box, dare Goff to beat us. We know he can't beat anybody in the cold weather. His thumb's got 3 screws in it. And they take away the running game. I don't know what, in the chess match, I don't know what the Rams have left at that point. I like Goff, but I don't love the guy. So I guess I would lean slightly to the over for Akers 70.5.
Okay, final game. We have the Baltimore Ravens playing the Buffalo Bills. What do I do here? I love both teams. This stinks for me. I have the Ravens plus 2.5 at Buffalo. The totals come down a little bit, 49.5. J-Mac, I'll start with you. Are you backing Lamar Jackson? Or are you sticking with the red hot Buffalo Bills?
I already have some buyer's remorse here, Sarah. First bet I made Sunday night. This came out at +3, some juice. It was like minus 123. And I took the Ravens. It was probably a little bit off the high of beating Tennessee. But I think the matchup, and we talked about this with Colin and Carissa Monday, the matchup is good for the Ravens offense. They like the tight ends. We saw the tight ends exploit the Bills last week. They like to run the football. Last week, the Colts had like a $178 on the ground. And we've seen running quarterbacks take apart Buffalo. Kyler Murray had 60+ on the ground in a victory. Cam Newton in the early meeting had, I believe, like 53 yards on the ground. And if he doesn't fumble inside the 20 in the final minute, they win that game. So we've seen 2 running quarterbacks take advantage of Buffalo. I think this is a good matchup for the Ravens. I like that the line has come my way, but man, just when you start looking at that Buffalo offense and how effortlessly they move the ball against a pretty good Colts defense, it's a little bit scary. I will add this. The Indianapolis Colts last week had 8 plays of 20 or more yards, 8 explosive plays against this Buffalo defense. They had like 450 yards of offense, more first downs. They moved the ball at will. So, that makes me want to lean to the over, but man, I just, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I've said enough, but you know where I'm at.
I really like Baltimore in this spot, and maybe it's a little bit of coming off of last weekend, but I think they got that playoff kind of curse off their back, right? They're down 10 in that game, and they fought their way back to beat Tennessee. Lamar Jackson had that long touchdown run. But, Jason, you mentioned it. The Colts offense moved the ball up and down the field on the Buffalo Bills. And the reason why they did that is the rushing game. If you look the last 3 months of the season, the close games the Bills have played, the Chiefs game, they lost that game, right? The Cardinals game, they won. They lost in overtime. Hail Mary. They beat New England home by 3 and the Colts game. All 4 of those games, the key was the opposing team rushed the ball very, very well. Buffalo's defense is ranked 31st by Pro Football Focus against the run and 25th in yards per attempt. And they're last in the NFL at defending the run against a lighter box, which Baltimore now, when they run the football, they've spread things out. So I think that the matchup specifically favors Baltimore in this contest. However, I'll give you a warning here. Josh Allen is excellent against the blitz, and Baltimore brings more pressure than anyone in the NFL with an extra blitzer. So I do worry about Josh Allen making a couple of those plays we saw every week now, a couple of those plays outside the pocket that really hurt the defense. And I'll end with this, Sarah, is Josh Allen still has a little bit of that YOLO in him, right? You only live once. We saw at the end of the Colts game, he fumbled that ball, and the Texans game last season in the playoffs had some weird plays as well. The way the Ravens pressure Josh Allen, I worry we get a YOLO play or 2 that cost them the game. I'll take Baltimore here.
Geoff, I'm so happy you brought that up because I love to look at crazy analytics and way too much stat research. His passer rating, Josh Allen, against the blitz from last season to this season has gone up dramatically, 78.4 to 111.6 in one season. So he certainly figured that out. This one's tough. I'm going to put in a teaser. You're going to hear that in my confidence picks in a few minutes. Let's move on to a prop. Lamar Jackson, rushing yards. This has gone up. It feels like 100 yards. It's not even possible, but you know what I'm saying. 75.5 rushing yards. This opened at like 61. Money's poured in on it. Geoff, do you still like the over for Lamar Jackson? Because I doubt you want to bet the under.
I'm going to take the over here for his rushing. We've seen him obviously take off the last couple of weeks, really the last 6 weeks of the year. He's averaging 11 yards a carry when he's keeping the ball on one of those zone reads they do. 11 yards a carry. And this is a great prop because win or lose, if they're losing, he might still rush the ball, right? As a scramble, as part of their offense in the red zone. So this is not a prop based on whether they're winning or losing. This is their offense. So I like the over here, even though it has ticked up about 13 yards from when I got it yesterday.
It's funny. We just showed Cam Akers, a running back at 70.5. And here you have a quarterback at 75.5. I'm impressed with Cam shattering Lamar Jackson shattering the narrative that he cannot win when he's trailing by double digits. I mean, they were down significantly and he was pretty good coming back. Listen, 75 yards is a lot on the ground. I know I just, talked about Kyler Murray and Cam had a day against these Buffalo Bills linebackers. The kid Milano is supposed to be amazing. He got torched by the linebackers last week, and they didn't sack Phillip Rivers once. I'm with you guys on the over.
I'll just say it. You watched Jonathan Taylor last week continue to run the ball against the Bills defense. I love every rushing over for Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, whoever it may be in this game. Okay, the second prop, Josh Allen. Also, this one's ticked up a little bit. Money coming in on the over. His total for passing yards, 300.5. Jason, what do you think here?
So this comes down to Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator of the Ravens, right? He's been talked about. Oh, what a great job he did against the Tennessee Titans, held them to 13 points. Okay, here's the problem. He loves to keep his corners in man. And as Geoff said, they blitz more than any other team in the league. Mm-hmm. So they blitz and keep their corners, Humphrey, Smith, and Peters on islands because those guys are really good. What does Josh Allen do? He eviscerates man defense, mostly because Diggs is so good off the release, and Cole Beasley is too, and John Brown's got the speed. I hope Wink Martindale doesn't end up blitzing a lot because that would be bad. Just get there with 4, drop back in some exotic zones, try to confuse a young kid. Because if you do man defense, Josh Allen will win. So it sounds silly that I'm on the Ravens and I would take the over 300, but Josh Allen probably goes over 300.
I'm glad you mentioned the philosophy of the defense, right? Because we talked about this when the Ravens played the Chiefs all the time is don't pressure Pat Mahomes. Do not blitz Pat Mahomes because when Pat Mahomes is against pressure, he's been the best in the NFL now the last couple of years. And what did they do? They pressured him and he found guys open and he torched the Ravens. So it's easy to say, hey, Wink Martindale, don't bring pressure. But that's kind of what they do. That is their defense, right? So it's hard for me to feel like they're going to just change this weekend and play a bunch of coverage because their guys are not coverage corners. Marcus Peters is not a guy who's good in cover 2 or cover 3. He wants to be man-to-man, me versus you, one-on-one. And so I would go over here. I'm with Jason. I like Baltimore, but I think the over is the play here because I don't see Baltimore changing what they've done the entire season for Josh Allen.
I feel like we're all in the same boat. We all kind of like the Ravens, but Josh Allen going over, even when he is facing the blitz against the blitz right now, completing 66% of his passes, averaging 7.8 yards per attempt. Give me the over all day. Geoff, confidence picks. I'm not asking for a lot, but I'm asking for better than 1 and 2. That's all. That's all.
All right. The first one is Green Bay -6. I saved the teaser for Sara for later. I thought about putting them in the teaser here, but I'll just go straight up. I just don't trust the Rams on the road in this spot in the cold weather. I think Green Bay's offense will be just fine. Lamar Jackson over 62.5. This is the important part about getting line value, right? Yesterday when we locked these in, it was 62.5. Now it's 75.5. I'll take the 62.5, obviously. That's what we locked in yesterday, so that's what I'll sit at. And Kansas City Chiefs over team total. I talked about it the entire week. I'll continue to talk about it. FoxSports.com article. I think the Chiefs score a ton of points. The most surprising result of the entire weekend would be like the Chiefs scoring 17 points and losing. I cannot imagine that happening. Give me the over for points for them.
Yeah, the only oddity, Geoff, I couldn't believe this. How many times have the Chiefs scored 40 points this year? Just once. Like, it's weird because last year you remember them as this juggernaut, and then Reed is just changing it up so often. I mean, obviously 32 is not 40, and the Browns defense stinks, but at any rate. Do you want to get to my loser picks?
Let's hear them.
I had a rough one here given out. Luckily, we're not going to rehash them. Now, listen, It's been the year of the underdog, people, right? Underdogs hit 56% in the regular season, 55, 56. That's profitable. And last weekend, I believe they were 4-2 against the spread. I like 2 dogs here. And I'm going to give this out for specifically Cleveland, okay? Since 2004, trend alert, divisional underdogs, 22-11-1 against the spread versus number 1 seeds. I can't get past this, Geoff, and we can expand on Sunday. Conrad, I'm sure you're taking notes here. But this idea that Kansas City won the Super Bowl and there isn't a sense of urgency, you can't quantify that. There's no number that can say, man, the Chiefs are just going through the motions and they've got the Super Bowl. Not saying they're fat and happy, because they're not. Obviously, they're great. But you just don't see them demolishing teams like they did last year. Like, they would open a can and destroy you and step on your throat and it's death. We don't see that this year. So I got the Browns getting 10, a little bit on the money line. That's my Salt Bay impression. And finally, the New Orleans Saints. Sarah, stop laughing at my Salt Bay impression. New Orleans Saints, 3. I think the biggest, and this is my favorite thing we do Sunday. Conrad will come on and say, where is the public? Those numbers I think are big this weekend because there's only 4 games. Yeah. The public's going to load up somewhere. My guess, educated guess, is on Tampa Bay. So give me
They are.
All right. That leads me to find some hopefully winners in these 3 things. Let's see them. J.K. Dobbins to score a touchdown. Plus money. Give it to me all day. I cannot get enough of this bet. He scored at least 1 touchdown in 7 straight games. Free money. Okay, not really, but you know what I'm saying. 6-point teaser. Green Bay, it's a pick 'em. I love Green Bay to win this game. 6-7 points, too many to lay. Tease that down. Baltimore plus 8.5. Baltimore's a covering machine straight up. Covered 7 straight games, 11-6 overall. I like them to possibly win this game and definitely cover the 8.5. Keep it within a touchdown. Devin Singletary over 2.5 receptions. Zach Moss, he's out for the rest of the season, unfortunately, an ankle injury. I think they're not going to be able to run the ball. We saw what the Ravens defense was able to sell out and stop Derrick Henry. When Zach Moss missed a few weeks in the beginning of the season and it was just Singletary, he averaged 3.3 receptions. Give me the over 2.5 receptions for Devin Singletary. Okay. J-Mac, I'll start.
Let me add something. That's really good because Patrick Queen has struggled, the rookie, in coverage. That's a good ID right there. I like that.
Oh, baby, I'm getting extra confidence on my picks here. Okay, really quick. I need a value play on a Super Bowl future, the ones that are left. Jason, I'll start with you.
Rams plus 2,200. I think they can maybe win. Now watch them come out and Goff, vomits all over himself in the first quarter and it's a wrap. But 2,200, I think they could go to either Tampa or New Orleans and win as long as they get through the frozen tundra. 2,200 Rams.
I guess Tampa, because if the Rams beat the Packers, which I guess is sort of possible, I don't think it is. But
I'm trying to talk you into it.
If the Rams win, which look again, the physical part of that game, it's possible that they go in and smack them in the mouth and win that game. And Tampa wins this weekend, they'll have a home game in the NFC Championship game. Like they're right there. They play at home and then play at home. So I think the value is plus 900. So they're in their preseason odds, I think we're like plus 1,200 plus. So you still have some value on the opening line of the season at plus 900.
I always talk about the Bills, but now that I have a future on them already, they're playing the Ravens. I'm going to make an argument to take the Ravens. I'll hedge against myself starting way too early. I don't recommend doing that, but plus 775, it's going to be a good matchup. The Ravens are one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. Okay, a lot more to come. We're going to continue to break down the games on Saturday leading up to kickoff at 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. We'll see you then. For Geoff Schwartz and Jason McIntyre, I'm Sara Perlman with everyone here with Fox Bet. We'll see you Saturday.